Jessica Linarino, a 21-year-old from Unicoi County, Tennessee, vanished under mysterious circumstances in Goldsboro, North Carolina in January 2012. Described by her family as a smart, free-spirited young woman, Jessica moved to Goldsboro in December 2011 to escape substance abuse and start fresh. Despite her efforts, she became entangled with 52-year-old Carson Cameron, a known heroin dealer. Jessica was last confirmed seen on January 23, 2012, at the Carolina Treatment Center, an outpatient drug facility. While her family maintained daily contact with her, their calls stopped after January 25. Concerned, her family reported her missing to both the Wayne County Sheriff's Department and Irwin Police Department. Cameron, initially cooperative, claimed Jessica left abruptly one night. However, roommates contradicted his story, saying the two had left together, and Cameron returned alone days later. Jessica's food stamp card was later used in Charleston, South Carolina, but her family doubts she was responsible. Since her disappearance, Cameron has become uncooperative. Authorities have few leads, and Jessica's social media remains inactive. Jessica is classified as endangered missing. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Wayne County Sheriff's Department at 919-580-4065 or the Irwin Police Department at 423-330-4604.
On Halloween night in 1969, the air was thick with anticipation as children roamed the streets in their costumes. But as the night grew darker, the eerie quiet of a Florida neighborhood was shattered by an event that would forever haunt its residents. The brutal murder of young Mary Lou McDonald sent shockwaves through the community, leaving everyone in disbelief and fear. Her husband had a firm alibi, leaving the investigators with very little evidence or clues. Despite their best efforts, the case grew colder by the day. They interviewed neighbors, friends, and even distant relatives, but nothing seemed to add up. The pressure was mounting and the community was growing restless. Despite a thorough investigation spanning several years, the case went cold. The tight-knit community was haunted by unanswered questions and doubts. Families and friends of the victim were left in perpetual grief, wondering if justice would ever be served. The mystery remains unsolved, casting a long shadow over the town. After Mary Lou's death, strange occurrences began to take place in her old home. Lights flickered, objects moved on their own, and shadows seemed to dance in the hallways. The eerie atmosphere left everyone unsettled, questioning what was real. The murder of Mary Lou McDonald haunts Florida to this day. Her case remains unsolved, leaving a chilling legacy that continues to intrigue and terrify the community. Will justice ever be served for Mary Lou?
In November 1996, a chilling double murder in Eustis, Florida, unveiled a sinister subculture linked to North Carolina and Kentucky. The leader, 16-year-old Rod Farrell, claimed to be a 500-year-old vampire named Visago and commanded a group of teens who called themselves the Vampire Clan. Drawn together by a fascination with vampirism, the group spiraled into violence under Farrell's influence. Their journey turned deadly when they traveled from Kentucky to Florida to rescue Clan member Heather Wendorf. At her family's home, Farrell brutally attacked Heather's parents, Richard and Ruth Wendorf, killing them with a crowbar. The group fled, but authorities quickly apprehended them. The trial captivated the nation, with Farrell's bizarre claims and chilling demeanor making headlines. Sentenced to death, later commuted to life imprisonment, Farrell's case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of extreme subcultures. To this day, the Vampire Clan murders remain one of the darkest and most perplexing episodes of teen crime in modern history.
On February 24, 1992, Michael Hunter approached a gas station weaving in an erratic manner. He then fell off his motorcycle unconscious. The police and paramedics soon arrived and tried to revive him. With no visible signs of injury, Michael was rushed to a hospital and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. It was discovered during the autopsy he had 3 small bullet wounds from a small caliber weapon which had caused massive internal bleeding. Although authorities speculate Michael's murder could have been a robbery gone wrong, a motive or suspect has never been established. If you have any information, please contact the proper authorities today. In 1999, Brooke Henson vanished from her home in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. After a disagreement with her boyfriend, she was last seen walking to a nearby store. She never returned. Suspicion fell on her volatile boyfriend, Ricky Shirley, but he was never charged. Then, in a bizarre twist, a woman named Esther Reed assumed Brooke's identity, enrolling at Columbia University. Reed's deception was discovered, but she fled before facing consequences. Reed was eventually caught and sentenced for fraud and identity theft. Reed's motives remain unclear. Meanwhile, authorities suspect foul play in Brooke's disappearance, but don't have enough evidence to charge anyone. With Ricky Shirley's death in 2019, we have several questions that have been left unanswered. Brooke's family seeks closure. Despite suspicion, her case remains unsolved. Jesse Leopold, age 23, vanished without a trace in Jewell, Iowa on October 13, 2016. Last seen before his work break. He had told his supervisor he needed to pick up a prescription during his lunch break from WG Marketing Meat Processing Plant. 2 days later, Jesse's father, Jerry, took to Facebook, desperate for help in finding his son. Jesse's purple Ford 150 pickup truck was found abandoned in Ledges State Park, 30 miles away. The keys were in the ignition, and Jerry reported him missing to the Boones County Sheriff's Department. Since then, Jesse Leopold has never been seen again.
On Halloween, October 31st, 1969, Patricia Spencer, 16, and Pamela Hobley, 15, disappeared under mysterious circumstances in Oscoda, Michigan. Although they weren't considered friends, the two were last seen walking together after skipping school that day. They were never heard from again, and despite extensive searches, their bodies were never recovered. Initially dismissed as runaways, suspicions grew as the days passed, and it became clear something far more sinister had occurred. Both girls left behind their belongings, and there was no evidence they had planned to leave town. Investigators now believe Patricia and Pamela were victims of foul play, with authorities concluding they were likely murdered. Decades later, the case remains unsolved, and their families continue to seek answers. Without leads or their remains, Patricia and Pamela's disappearance remains one of Michigan's enduring cold cases, haunting the small town and raising questions about what really happened that fateful Halloween night.
Ruben Wiggins was last seen in Grimesland, North Carolina on November 20th, 1988. After receiving a mysterious call at 10:30 a.m., he left home with $500, appearing fearful, and never returned. A month later, his light blue 1978 Oldsmobile was found abandoned in a wooded area in Craven County. Wiggins, who often cut trees for money, had 3 chainsaws in his trunk, but one was missing. He lived a quiet, frugal life, working for Georgia Pacific Railroad. He was unmarried, childless, and sometimes sold marijuana. His brother suspects he was murdered, possibly dismembered with the missing chainsaw and fed to pigs by trusted acquaintances. One suspect died in a car accident shortly after Wiggins vanished. Despite the suspicion of foul play, little evidence has surfaced. Wiggins was declared legally dead in 2007. If you have any information about this case or any of the others, please contact the proper authorities.
Terror in the night. The son of Sam emerges. New York City, 1977. A climate of fear gripped the city. A shadow stalked the night, leaving a trail of blood and terror in its wake. Young couples out on dates became targets. The killer, dubbed the son of Sam by the media, seemed unstoppable. Then, an arrest. David Berkowitz, a seemingly ordinary postal worker, confessed to the crimes. He claimed a demon, possessing his neighbor's dog, had commanded him to kill. The city breathed a sigh of relief. The nightmare, it seemed, was over. But was it really over? Berkowitz's confession, while shocking, seemed to tie everything up neatly. The demon dog story, though bizarre, provided an explanation, however outlandish. Yet some details didn't add up. Eyewitness accounts described multiple attackers, not a lone gunman. The Son of Sam letters filled with cryptic messages and satanic ramblings hinted at something more sinister than a lone madman. Beyond the demon dog whispers of a darker truth, Berkowitz himself added fuel to the fire. He recanted his initial confession, claiming instead that he was part of a satanic cult. This cult, he alleged, was responsible for the murders. He was just one player in a much larger, more sinister game. This revelation sent shockwaves through the city and beyond. Could this seemingly open and shut case be something far more complex, far more terrifying? The authorities, however, remained unconvinced. They dismissed Berkowitz's claims as the ramblings of a disturbed mind. The case, they insisted, was closed, but some, like journalist Maury Terry, refused to let it go. They believed Berkowitz. They saw the inconsistencies, the loose ends. They knew deep down that something was wrong. The ultimate evil Maury Terry's shocking investigation. Maury Terry, in his groundbreaking book, The Ultimate Evil, meticulously pieced together a chilling theory. He connected Berkowitz to a nationwide satanic network known as the Children. This group, Terry argued, was responsible for not only the Son of Sam killings, but also a string of unsolved murders across the country. Terry's investigation uncovered a web of connections, coincidences too numerous to ignore. He pointed to the Process Church of the Final Judgment, a controversial religious group with alleged ties to Satanism, as a possible link. Terry also highlighted the suspicious deaths of John and Michael Carr, the sons of Berkowitz's neighbor. Both brothers died shortly after Berkowitz's arrest, one in a suspicious shooting, the other in a car crash. Terry believed the Carr brothers were deeply involved in the cult and the murders. Their deaths, he argued, were not accidents but rather a way to silence them, to tie up loose ends. The Carr brothers, victims, accomplices, or something more. The Carr brothers, according to Terry, were key players in the Son of Sam saga. They were more than just neighbors. They were Berkowitz's accomplices, his partners in crime. Their deaths, shrouded in mystery and suspicion, only solidified Terry's belief in a cover-up, a desperate attempt to bury the truth. The official investigations into the brothers' deaths ruled them accidental. But for Terry, too many questions remained unanswered. Why were both brothers dead within a year of Berkowitz's arrest? Why did their deaths seem so convenient? Were they silenced to protect a larger conspiracy, a darker truth that threatened to unravel everything?
A sheriff's deputy found a duct-taped steamer trunk on the side of the road near Harper's Ferry National Historic Park. Inside, he discovered a duffel bag within another duffel bag filled with old clothes and a human hand. Beneath that was a body, wearing only a pajama top, appearing to be a man in his 70s. The man, extremely emaciated at just 111 pounds, has yet to be identified. Authorities created a computer-generated likeness, but no one has come forward. Despite having dental records and fingerprints, John Doe remains nameless, and the mystery of his identity and how he ended up abandoned in the trunk remains unsolved. Brenda K. Mills, a 19-year-old Kinston, North Carolina resident, went missing on August 3, 1972, while walking home from a dance at the American Legion. She was just seconds away from her doorstep when she vanished. Her body was discovered the following Saturday in a wooded area near the Kinston airport by a passing motorist. Police identified her through fingerprints, a birthmark, and a ring provided by her family. Despite hearing a scream and spotting a dark station wagon in the area the night she disappeared, the case remains unsolved and the investigation continues. Do you know anything?
On Tuesday, January 8, 1985, 62-year-old Hokei Shepard, a retired schoolteacher who lived alone at 1100 East Caswell Street in Kinston, North Carolina, was found murdered in her home by a friend. The Kinston Police Department determined that Shepard had died from a gunshot wound and assault. Her 1983 Burgundy Cadillac was also stolen and later located at a local elementary school. Despite extensive investigations, the person responsible for the crime remained unidentified for decades. At the time of the murder, forensic DNA testing was still in its early stages, but investigators collected evidence from the scene for potential future use. Years later, as forensic science advanced, an STR-DNA profile was developed and entered into CODIS, but no matches were found. In 2023, new developments in DNA technology allowed investigators to analyze the collected evidence further. Forensic genetic genealogy techniques were used to identify potential relatives of the unknown suspect, ultimately leading to the identification of Thomas Williams Wade Jr. Wade, who was 28 at the time of the murder, had been interviewed as a person of interest early in the case, but later relocated and passed away in 2007. If alive today, Wade would face charges of first-degree murder and larceny. The case's resolution highlights the power of modern DNA advancements in solving cold cases.
In November 1996, a chilling double murder in Eustis, Florida, unveiled a sinister subculture linked to North Carolina and Kentucky. The leader, 16-year-old Rod Farrell, claimed to be a 500-year-old vampire named Visago and commanded a group of teens who called themselves the Vampire Clan. Drawn together by a fascination with vampirism, the group spiraled into violence under Farrell's influence. Their journey turned deadly when they traveled from Kentucky to Florida to rescue Clan member Heather Wendorf. At her family's home, Farrell brutally attacked Heather's parents, Richard and Ruth Wendorf, killing them with a crowbar. The group fled, but authorities quickly apprehended them. The trial captivated the nation, with Farrell's bizarre claims and chilling demeanor making headlines. Sentenced to death, later commuted to life imprisonment, Farrell's case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of extreme subcultures. To this day, the Vampire Clan murders remain one of the darkest and most perplexing episodes of teen crime in modern history.
The air was thick with the promise of a Saturday night. It was November 9th, 2007. Kyle Fleischman, a young man on the cusp of adulthood, was out with friends in Charlotte, North Carolina. Laughter, music, and the camaraderie of youth filled the air. It was just another night out, or so it seemed. The group bar hopped, their spirits high, but as the night wore on, a strange unease began to settle. Kyle, usually the life of the party, seemed withdrawn, agitated. He argued with his friends, a rare occurrence. Around 2 a.m., Kyle left the Buckhead Saloon, seemingly alone. Witnesses said he was walking, heading in an unknown direction. He vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of questions and a city about to be gripped by a mystery. Kyle was gone. Dawn broke cold and unforgiving. The weight of Kyle's absence pressed down on his family. Where was he? Why hadn't he called? Panic bloomed, a chilling counterpoint to the day's dawning light. Frantic calls were made, friends questioned, streets retraced. The hours stretched into an agonizing eternity, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to the heart. Hope, fragile and flickering, clung to every lead, every whispered possibility. The community rallied. Flyers with Kyle's smiling face appeared on every corner. Search parties combed the city, their determination fueled by a shared sense of urgency and disbelief. Someone had to have seen something. Someone had to know something. But the city, once familiar and comforting, now held a sinister silence. The Fleischman family was trapped in a nightmare. Every ring of the phone, every knock on the door held the promise of news, but delivered only fresh waves of despair. Their son, their brother, was gone, and the not knowing was an agonizing torture. Through their tears and their fear, the Fleischmans found strength in the outpouring of support from their community. Strangers became allies, united in their determination to bring Kyle home. Candlelight vigils illuminated the night, the flickering flames a testament to the enduring hope that burned within their hearts. Yet, as days turned into weeks, the agonizing truth began to take hold. This was not a simple case of a young man gone astray. Something was terribly wrong. The investigation intensified. Police meticulously retrace Kyle's steps, piecing together the fragments of his last known hours. Witnesses were interviewed, surveillance footage scrutinized. Every detail, no matter how insignificant it seemed, was examined, hoping it would unlock the mystery of Kyle's disappearance. The trail led them to the bars Kyle had visited, to the streets he had walked. They chased down rumors, followed up on every lead, no matter how improbable, but each path seemed to end in a dead end, each clue leading only to more questions. The city, once teeming with life, now seemed to mock their efforts, its every shadow whispering secrets it refused to reveal. The search for Kyle Fleischman had become a desperate race against time, a relentless pursuit of a ghost. Kyle has never been seen or heard from since that unforgiving night.
California in the late 1960s, a time of cultural revolution where the air was thick with the scent of change and the promise of a new era. The Golden State was a beacon of hope and freedom, a time of peace and love shattered by fear. The streets once filled with music and laughter now echoed with whispers of dread. Two names whispered, Zodiac and Manson, names that would forever be etched into the dark annals of California's history. The Zodiac killer terrorized Northern California. His reign of terror left communities paralyzed with fear as he taunted the police and the public with cryptic messages. He left bodies and cryptic messages, each crime scene a puzzle, each letter a challenge, mocking the authorities' inability to catch him. Charles Manson commanded his family, a charismatic leader who twisted the ideals of the era to serve his own dark purposes, not a family of love but of blind obedience. His followers, lost souls seeking meaning, found themselves ensnared in his web of manipulation and violence. The Manson family murders shocked the nation, brutal acts that shattered the illusion of peace and love, leaving a scar on the collective consciousness. Two evils, same era, same state. The Zodiac and the Manson family, two dark forces that turned the dream of California into a nightmare. The theory was simple, almost too simple. It was the kind of idea that seemed to fit too neatly into the chaos of reality. Could the Zodiac killer and the Manson family be connected? The timelines overlapped, and the locations were not far apart. Both operated in California during the late 1960s, a time of social upheaval and fear. Whispers became theories, theories became articles. The media latched onto the idea, spinning stories that captivated the public's imagination. The public, hungry for answers, devoured every word. Bookstores couldn't keep true crime books on the shelves, and TV specials drew record audiences. The Zodiac case was a puzzle. Each clue, each letter, each symbol was a piece that detectives hoped would eventually reveal the bigger picture. Ciphers, codes, symbols, all meticulously planned. The Zodiac seemed to enjoy the intellectual challenge, taunting the police and the public with his cryptic messages. The killer seemed to revel in the game, always staying one step ahead, always just out of reach. Manson, on the other hand, was all about chaos. His followers, the so-called Manson family, carried out his brutal orders without question. His crimes were brutal, messy, fueled by a warped ideology. Manson's vision of an apocalyptic race war drove his actions, leaving a trail of blood and terror. The differences were stark, yet the theory persisted. Could two such different criminals be connected? The idea lingered, a tantalizing possibility that kept investigators and the public alike searching for answers. Bruce Davis, a name forever linked to the Manson family. He was more than just a follower. He was a key player in the gruesome saga that shocked the world. His involvement in the Manson family's heinous crimes has left an indelible mark on history. Convicted of murder, Davis was a loyal follower of Manson's twisted vision. His conviction brought some closure to the victims' families, but questions still lingered about his past and other possible crimes he might have committed. But was he the Zodiac? Some theorists believed so. The Zodiac killer, a mysterious figure who terrorized California, seemed to share eerie similarities with Davis. They pointed to his travels and interest in the occult. Davis's movements during the Zodiac killings and his fascination with dark rituals made some believe there was a connection. Howard Davis fueled the fire with his book. In The Zodiac-Manson Connection, he meticulously laid out his theories, drawing parallels between the two infamous figures. He claimed an inside source had evidence linking the two. This supposed insider information suggested that there were hidden connections that law enforcement had overlooked, but law enforcement wasn't convinced. Despite the compelling arguments and the public's fascination, authorities found no concrete evidence to support the theory. The mystery of the Zodiac killer remains unsolved. Bruce Davis's true extent of involvement, if any, is still a topic of debate. The theory, despite the lack of evidence, refused to die. It became a part of the Zodiac lore, a footnote in the Manson saga. The human mind craves order, seeks connections, even in chaos. We want answers, even if based on speculation, hope, or fear.
Danilo Restivo, an Italian national, had a bizarre habit of sneaking into public places to cut women's hair. His unsettling behavior escalated to serious crimes. In 2002, British seamstress Heather Barnett was found murdered in her home, her hair cut off and placed in her hand. This strange signature led investigators to connect the crime to Restivo's past actions. Further investigation revealed Restivo's involvement in the 1993 disappearance and murder of Elisa Claps, an Italian teenager. Claps's body was discovered in 2010, leading to Restivo's conviction for both murders. His peculiar haircutting fetish played a crucial role in unraveling these cases, linking him to the brutal crimes. Restivo's disturbing actions serve as a chilling reminder of how seemingly minor strange behaviors can escalate into something far more sinister. His story is a dark chapter in true crime, highlighting the importance of thorough investigations and connecting unusual patterns to solve crimes.
The morning of February 1st, 1896 was cold and damp in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. As dawn broke, a farmhand stumbled upon a gruesome sight. Lying in the muddy grass was the body of a young woman, dressed in a fine skirt and coat. But something was terribly wrong. Her head was missing. Authorities quickly identified the victim as Pearl Bryan, a 22-year-old woman from a well-respected Indiana family. She'd last been seen alive boarding a train to Cincinnati, supposedly to meet her lover, Scott Jackson, a dental student who was known to have a dubious reputation. Jackson, along with his friend Alonzo Whaling, was soon arrested, but neither man revealed what truly happened to Pearl that night. Now, what we now know is absolutely chilling. You see, Pearl had been pregnant, and good old Mr. Jackson had arranged for an abortion. When it failed, she was unalived. But the most terrifying detail remained unsolved. You see, her head was never found. Jackson and Whaling took their secrets to the grave, refusing to disclose its whereabouts, even as they were led to the gallows. Now, there were whispers of dark, occultic rituals. Others believed it had been thrown into the Ohio River, buried in a secret grave. As the years passed, Pearl's restless spirit became the stuff of legend. People claimed to see her wandering near the site of her death, her headless form gliding effortlessly through the trees. Others swear they've heard faint cries echoing in the wind, pleading, searching for something Pearl lost a long time ago. The case remains one of the most infamous crimes of the era, not just for its sheer brutality, but for the mystery that still lingers. Did Pearl's soul ever find peace? Or is Pearl still searching for that part of her stolen, that cold, fateful night?